feeling so overwhelmed and frustrated. This isn't what I want. I remember at one point during the railing, I said, this was not my life plan. I was not going to be a construction worker. I was not installing railings into homes is not my life goal.
So we're here today with my wife and my daughter. My wife Benjamin, my daughter Emily, and I'm Shane. And this is the Upstroke podcast channel. We're just going to talk a little bit about my caregivers, because who cares for the caregivers? And I wanted to get their thoughts and opinions on kind of how this has affected them and what they've gone through. So to start off, I guess just where were you and how did the news affect you when you first heard about my stroke?
I was at a picnic party with some friends at a lake, and I got a phone call that you had been hurt, and I was waiting for you because I just heard from you like 10 minutes before that you were on your way. And so, yeah, I wasn't too panicked because you've been hurt before. So I was like, he's going to the hospital. He'll be fine. He's going to meet me in Stony Plain. So my first instinct wasn't to be too concerned. And then it got weird and more concerning. We couldn't find you. We didn't know where you were going. So we found you finally at the Red Deer Hospital, and you were in ICU. And we didn't know you had a stroke yet, but we knew you were in critical condition and that you were being airlifted to Edmonton. So I called all the kids and told them that this was going down and happening, and not to freak out and not to be alone. And I was on my way to the hospital to meet you at the Royal Alec.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then our daughter from Calgary drove up, and our friends drove me in to the hospital because the team at the Red Deer Hospital said, please don't be alone, don't drive anywhere. So they took it upon themselves to, be my caregiver in that situation. And we all met you at the hospital.
Where were you when Mom called you?
I was at home. Yeah, I was living in the city, and I got the call. It was pretty shocking. I knew that getting a call like that from Mom, things were serious. When we found out about the stroke, it was after you had been brought to Edmonton, and I was living like 3 blocks away from the hospital, and so I was just I knew my sister was coming up, and so Mom and Shelby were waiting at the hospital for you to show up, and they said to just wait until you got there, and that you were admitted to assess the situation. And by the time I had gotten there, Mom told me about how the doctors asked her when your stroke happened, and you had no history of strokes before, so Mom was shocked. Shelby was shocked. We didn't know that you had also had a stroke. We just thought you were severely injured from an accident. And so I get to the hospital, and then Mom, before she took me in to see you in the ICU, she calmly told me about how you had a stroke as well. And I didn't really know what that meant. So there was just so many things going through my head. You're just on life support and you just had to go through it.
Yeah, the stroke wasn't the first thing they were worried about because they basically had you stable. So they were more concerned about your breathing because if you don't breathe, that's it.
You had a collapsed
So
lung.
there was a lot of injuries that were more important than dealing with your stroke. And then as soon as that was all resolved and very stable, then we started dealing with how the stroke happened, when it happened. They didn't know if it was before that caused you the accident and so they just did a lot of tests on you for that. And they weren't sure if your stroke was still going on. So that was a concern as well. So it was pretty scary because there was even talk of like brain surgery to allow the blood to not build up in the brain because that is what really goes wrong, I guess. So that was scary.
Mm-hmm. So emotional.
Yeah, very emotional.
So how did you guys handle those emotions at that time?
I think we were in shock.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to reflect on your emotions when you're just in total trauma.
Yeah.
You just are in survival mode. It's like when you're just panicking, but all you can do is keep going.
Yeah, I personally felt like I had to be strong and stoic and matter of fact and telling you and everybody, I had to warn everybody what was happening that was coming in and stuff. So I was more like keeping it in while we were in the hospital. And then once I got in the car to go home, yeah, it was like cry session and letting it all out and just like disbelief and yeah, there was a lot of that. Sitting in the truck in front of your house for like half an hour before you went in and I drove home or
Yeah, I remember there were times I would get home after spending hours at the hospital and I would feel like I would go outside and I would look at the trees in front of my house and up at the sky and everything just seemed dark. And like my brain just felt like it was like fuzzy and vibrating.
Yeah, you're just on copilot, autopilot or autopilot.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a weird feeling. And definitely did not cope well at certain times. Had a lot of breakdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Like my body didn't know how to react to the stress that I was experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
So there were a couple times when, my body was reacting to the things my brain couldn't comprehend in very strange ways. I would just break down and have panic attacks, and they would come out of nowhere. Yeah.
So then at what point do you start accepting kind of the options then?
The options of what do you mean?
Of the outcome.
Oh,
of what's next.
Yeah, like
they kept telling us, 24 hours and then 48 hours. If you make it past 24 hours, your likelihood of survival increases, and then it's 48 hours, and then I remember it was 72 hours. And at one point we asked, okay, so he's made it past 72 hours, so he's in the clear, right? And they had to say there's no guarantee of anything. And I think, having those little bits in the first few days was kind of helpful because we're like, every hour he's making it, we're closer to that mark. But I think that that's kind of something they do for people in crazy situations like that.
That probably helps, right?
Yeah.
Break it down in acceptable chunks of time.
Yeah. And we didn't really, like, the stroke was really not on our our forefront of our situation. They did not talk to us about it. They didn't explain what it was. Like, it was quite a ways past your recovery that we were known that the stroke was there, and your body wasn't moving, and yeah, and we didn't know if your neck was broken. They were scared that the blood vessel was gonna, if they took the brace off, if that was gonna cause problems with the blood vessel. There was a lot of moving things that had to be secure before. Yeah.
So I think we'll just freewheel the rest of this.
Okay.
We've been over it so many times.
Okay.
So the next questions are more the emotional side. So, which we've just been going through. Like, I'm finding a lot of it's just kind of repetitive. I think to get more into the caregiving stuff, talk about, I guess, when I started coming home, right? So for the first how many months?
Before that, we had to get you moving,
Right.
and we had to get you out of ICU, and so your right side was repairing, and then your left side had the stroke. So you ended up in the stroke ward at the Royal Alec, and that was like a month and a half of really digging deep, and like, how are you going to get to the bathroom, making the list of the things you wanted to get done before you came home, deciding if you were going to Glen Rose or going to Pinoka, the Halbert Johnson. So there was a lot of emotions in that time too. And it was a lot of just sitting with you, moving.
So that's really when the caregiving began, right?
Yeah, that's when the caregiving really started. Your job was finishing at that time. And so you were spending a lot of time there.
How often were you at the hospital, Em?
Every day. I think I took one day off because people forced me to.
Yeah.
I didn't want to. It was the worst day. But they said you're seeing too much and we're not coping.
How long a time frame was that?
Like into your stroke?
Yeah.
That was probably like in the first 6 weeks.
I think it was when you got to, I think it was right before you were transferred to the stroke ward. I took one day off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then they started talking about you getting out of ICU.
And that was like a month, wasn't it?
Yeah.
4 weeks, 5 weeks?
Yeah.
In ICU?
Yeah.
So once I knew that they were actually planning on you leaving ICU, which was the really triggering part of you being in the hospital, was being in ICU, because a lot of people don't make it out of there. Once I knew that you were stable enough for them to start planning for you to leave the ICU, I knew that you were on a path of healing.
So you felt a bit of relief then?
Yes. It was super like, he was going to make it, but everybody was warning us, well, there's a lot, the stroke ward is very different. And they're like, this is like a hotel stay compared to where you're going. And they try to prepare us for it, but they didn't really do a good job. So we felt like, because of the conditions of the hospital and where you were, I personally felt like I was sort of at your beck and call in a way. So I really made scheduled, I'm going to be here at 8, or I'm going to come for breakfast, or come for dinner, or like do all those things, shower day. like give you something to look
Mhm.
forward to in the days and not just lay there. But you had physio and stuff, which was very encouraging to see you like up and at it. And yeah, by then you were dealing with it better, and that you had a hope that you were going to recover from your
Right.
stroke.
So how was your sleeping and eating habits during this time? Because you're at the hospital a lot.
Yeah. Well, I was not sleeping very well. Immediately, the first thing I did when I got the call about your accident was call Auntie Denise. So I called her just to let her know because she's one of our closest family members. And
Mhm.
I just thought, if everybody that needs to know right now knows, but for some reason, it was just in my head that I needed to tell her. And so I called her and she said, I'm driving out right now. I'll pack up the dogs and I'm on my way. So she drove from Vancouver Island all the way. And she was there the next day at my house. And so she was a huge support system to me because she made sure that, because I wasn't thinking about feeding myself, like that was the last thing on my mind was eating food. I couldn't, when I get very stressed, I have a hard time eating properly. And so she was really good at making sure that there was food being put in front of me. And I, everybody kept saying, "Oh, you have to take care of yourself." And I'm like, I don't know how to right now. It's not about me right now. It's about me just being there for my dad and like I'll eat later.
Yeah.
So, but
Lots
people,
of Tim Hortons and lots of egg bites.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and so one morning, Denise and I were driving to the hospital, and it was a couple days before she was actually planning on going home. And she said, "Okay, we're gonna go straight to the hospital. We're not getting McDonald's breakfast today because it was right across the street." And so I see her staying in the lane to go to McDonald's. I said, "So we're going straight to the hospital, right?" She's like, "Yep." I'm like, "We're not going to McDonald's, right?" "Yep." "Oh crap, I'm going to McDonald's." It was so, because we created such a routine. And we would go first thing in the morning, her and I, and because I was only 3 blocks away, and then we would go in and see at the hospital and spend time there until about noon, and then somebody else would show up because you guys are living about 45 minutes away.
Yeah.
So
It was really critical that somebody was there for rounds, what they call rounds. So
yeah, it's the meeting where all the medical teams they go around the ICU and they have meetings about anything that happened the night before, test results,
medication.
further procedures that is going to happen. So you had about 8 or 9 um, professionals, medical professionals, taking care of you. And so they would all be in the know about that. And they suggested that if we wanted to be like, know exactly what's going on and to make sure that we're there for the rounds.
Mhm.
And we did our best. Sometimes they would do it a little bit earlier than they usually do it. And we would miss it, but then we would have doctors come in and give us the updates and stuff. And we were having such a hard time keeping track of everything that was going on. So the morning people, which was usually Denise and I, we would try and relay enough information that we could remember to like mom and Shelby and um but there are little bits and pieces of information being missed because we're just so, like, our brains are just all over the place. And so the doctor suggested that we keep a journal or a notebook in the room so we would write down everything that they would tell us, all the updates, all the procedures, um, test results, everything we would write in the notebook so that when the next group of people came in to be with you, they could just look at the notebook and no information was being missed between us. Because it's kind of hard to play telephone when you're in trauma.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
A lot of it's very reactive. You just kind of have to go with it, right?
Yeah. And then that notebook became a very important tool for you
Right.
in communicating with us because of the stroke. You weren't able to talk and you weren't able to, communicate with us properly.
Yeah.
So you would scribble something down in the book and we somehow read it. I don't know how we would read it, but we would. And
well, we would ask if certain letters, like you would write, for example, like you would write my name sometimes. It was E, and we would ask you because it was so hard to read what you were writing, so we would go through a bunch of letters we thought it could be, and once we got to the right letter, you would give us a thumbs up.
yeah.
And so then we slowly started learning what your writing was.
Yeah.
And we got better and better.
And you had some signals and
yeah, you would tap on us and write.
Yeah, and like no, yes, yes. Like so communication was weird.
Very
basic. You didn't even have your eyes open.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
But you were trying to communicate to us.
Yeah.
You're a problem solver, so you're always, working on solving a problem. So we knew as soon as you were doing little signals, you were trying to communicate. You were trying to get out of that situation. And so we had to be there to really figure out what your signals were that you were coming up with. And they were saying, the nurses were saying that people under sedation, and they will try and communicate things, but the best people to understand what the patients are trying to communicate is family, close friends and family. Like for the medical teams, it's hard for them to understand what you're trying to say, but family understands your brain patterns way better than they do. So we were able to pick up on your communication and sometimes relay what you were saying to the doctors as well.
Yeah, because you definitely had ideas and things that you needed to say. Yeah.
You were my voices.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And I think that's kind of when our role as caregivers sort of started. As well as you were running huge fevers. You were burning like over 4,000 calories a day just laying there because your body is trying to mend itself back together. Your ribs were fusing back together, and so you don't realize how much energy your body is using to heal.
Right.
Even though you're just laying there. So you were so hot and you were sweating so bad. And so we kept asking for buckets of ice with cloths, and we would put the cloths in the ice buckets and put it on you, and because you were just pouring sweat just laying there. And then they said you had a fever as well. And so we spent weeks just transferring cold cloths on your body and all over your body. We would keep cold cloths, but they would get hot in 2 seconds. So it was nonstop. And that was a huge reason why we always wanted somebody to be there, because the nurses don't have enough time to sit there and do that for you. But we wanted to make sure you were as comfortable as you possibly could be.
Oh, and I remember that.
Yeah. So we would just sit there and move icy cloths around your body for weeks.
Yeah, the nursing staff were so thrilled to have you guys there, too, right? Because they're spread so thin.
Yeah.
And the patients that didn't have family like I did,
they were with them majority of the time.
Yeah.
or
And
left.
they take up a lot of their time, right? So
Yeah.
it's so important to have.
Babbling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as caregivers, it's like really important. I don't know. Taking like it's like everybody says, are you caring for yourself? Well, caring for the person is caring for ourselves in a weird way, because I wouldn't know what to do. There's a guilt feeling of, well, I'm drinking coffee and he can't drink coffee. So we would sneak and hide things. And then,
Yeah,
and it was like, well, I'm having a good sleep. He's lying in that bed. Like you were in a hospital bed for 8 months. So there, you have to get over that guilt feeling.
Yeah, we stopped bringing coffees into the room.
Mm.
Because one time we came in with coffees and we're like, oh, we went and got a coffee, and your eyes were open at that time and you couldn't talk. And you were just like I know you were saying, what the hell?
Yeah. And then you could smell our breath.
So then we're like, hey, we're going to drink the coffee out of the room. We're not going to bring anything in.
We always got
we didn't
smalls.
want to drink water because you couldn't drink water for the first month.
Yeah.
And you just wanted to eat or drink something so bad. And so we stopped bringing waters in. It was like when we were in that room with you, we were going to
suffer just like you.
Share the pain.
Share the pain.
Well, we didn't want it to affect your mental health at all. So
yeah,
I felt bad, felt bad eating stuff, and so we just wouldn't do that. There's no way. Yeah, but those are the kind of things you have to learn the hard way. See how it affects your loved one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once the other day, I heard you chewing on some ice at PT.
Yeah.
And I was, wow, I have a flashback. Because once you were able, they allowed you to have a few ice chips. You would crunch on it so aggressively, and you were like manic over this ice. You weren't allowed to drink water, but you could eat some ice at first. And I just heard you crunch it on that ice, and I was like, oh, that brings me back to the
I flashback
ICU.
every time I have some as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I went through a lot of it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I brought bags
you
and
froze your teeth.
The ice maker was broken.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to the corner store. And that was quite the journey.
Nice corner store, right?
Oh, yeah. And then I had a cooler that I'd bring, and there was just ice in there. And we would tell the nurses, this is for Shane, whatever you need to do with it. Cool him down, make ice bags, whatever. So caregiving, like, I don't know, some people might think we overdid it or whatever, but we are
problem solvers,
hypersensitive and sympathetic
Yeah.
to the situation. And I know what it's like to be in a hospital, and it's not fun. And I couldn't do more than like 6 days, and I was losing it. And I had to go home. So I did have a little empathy for you, not in the extreme.
Right.
But, you
have to protect yourself from that as well.
Yeah.
Like you start giving too much then, right?
Sometimes, yeah, it's just like, okay, well, I can't come for breakfast and for dinner because it's like 45 minutes one way. So that's an hour and a half. That's 3 hours driving in a day.
Yeah, we had to learn how to say no.
Yeah.
And that was hard. We have this mentality where Mom and I, we feel guilty saying no about pretty much anything.
Yeah.
In life. And it's really hard to just say no and stand firm with that. But I think there were times when you didn't understand why you couldn't have a Coke Slurpee. And so we had to tell you no. And there were times when I would have a reaction before, like you would be giving me the sweetest look, and you're like, Coke Slurpee. I'm like, No, I'm so sorry. I can't.
You mean I asked more than once for a Coke Slurpee?
You asked every probably 2 minutes when you were awake. Yeah. You wanted Coca-Cola and you couldn't talk, so you would be mouthing it. Coca-Cola.
We're like, every time for days. We're like, what? Oh, Coke.
Right. Yeah.
So we can laugh about that now.
Yeah, totally.
But
It was hard.
What became was like, dude, you're not understanding this.
Because
Like,
if you were to consume any, like even water, it was going to go straight into your lungs because of
the tracheostomy.
the tracheostomy.
Yeah.
And so that could have killed you. So if you and eating anything, it could get stuck in your lungs, create what's it called?
pneumonia.
Pneumonia.
Mm.
That's what they were most worried about.
Yeah, the last thing you needed right now was pneumonia.
Yeah.
Fixing your lung.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you protect your emotions then when I'm asking for the same things over and over and over, and the guilt that you feel?
For me, it became like, okay, I said a prayer before I walked in. I can do this. Stay calm. He's going to ask for a Slurpee. You're just going to simply say no. Don't be frustrated. Learn your patience. It was a lot of prayer, depending on, God to keep me calm and sane.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, when I would leave, I would be in the truck being not so calm. But yeah, there was, if that truck could talk.
So have your prayers changed going through all this? The way you pray?
Yes.
Yeah.
For me, I'm very specific with my prayers now. And
What do you mean by that?
well, I don't just go, oh, protect me, Lord, for everything in the day. I'm being like, no, if I'm going for, let's say, a drive in the truck, protect me while I'm driving. Let me know that I'm a good driver.
Mm-hmm.
Keep the wheels on the ground. Make everybody that's driving around me, like be specific,
Mm-hmm.
not just general. I don't think general prayers are heard.
I think if you have general prayers, you have to have a lot of trust and faith in God. Because if you're going to pray for something, whether it's very specific or not, you're going to have to trust that He's going to do it. That you're asking Him for something and He's going to do it the way He thinks it needs to be done. And to trust Him and to know that He's working it out, whether it goes the way you want it to go or not. I think it's so important that you have that trust and that relationship with Him when you do pray for things. Because, yeah, I read in a book, when we get bold asking God for things that we want and we think He should be answering our prayers for us in a specific way, the way we want Him to answer our prayers. But when you ask Him for those things, we forget that He is a wild Father and He's going to do things His way. It's like when I was, growing up asking you for things, I would have to get those things in ways I never even imagined I would get them. I would have to do some sort of chore that I never thought I would have to do. I'd have to work for the things that I got growing up. And I think that you have to have that sort of mentality and relationship with Him when you pray to Him for things, because He's going to work things out the way He knows is best. And most of the time it does not, the journey is not what you expected. Sometimes it's not what you want, but he knows what's best. And you have to have that trust built up for you to be at peace with your journey. And it kind of takes this weight off your shoulders that, oh, you have to conduct yourself in a specific way with him. But he, having just that trust, um, that he is in the driver's seat and you can just rest in life knowing that he's going to get you where you need to be, safely is very, very freeing. And I think after this journey, I've definitely learned
Yeah.
that it's not about how things are done. It's about knowing that it's what needs to be done.
Good.
Yeah. I agree with that. That's very articulate of you. Yeah.
So how did you pray about me prior to the accident?
Oh, I would ask that he did his will in your life and that he would protect you. I knew that the road you were on, it was going to lead to it could lead to a couple different things. And both of those, um, roads that you could have been on were my worst nightmare. Um,
Yeah, we were scared we were
going to lose you one way or another.
Yeah, we were really afraid that you were in a direction of no return from us, and we just didn't know what that meant. But it was, I don't think any of us had a really good relationship at that time, and it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
So we'd be just like, we need him back, kind of a general prayer, and just be like, help Shane, see the truth and all those things. But his will did work in the craziest way, and in my wild imagination, that's not what I expected.
Yeah.
But
did you feel guilty for praying and asking for that then?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was like, because we had just had a conversation that morning, and I was like, oh my gosh, I just like whined and complained, like if I was not sick and lying on this bench, I'd be sitting on the back of the bike and we'd be going out for a ride today. And then I kind of like just told you how I felt, the truth of it. And then you would like, it was either going to be like, well, whatever, I'm doing this and I'm going out. But you were like, how about if we meet up at the end of the day? And I was just like, I wasn't expecting that, because we don't meet up at the end of the day ever at that time in our life. And so to get that call was just like, what the heck? Like, it was like instant answer. Like, it was instant direction change instantly.
Yeah.
And I knew like everything in my heart, that I was like, my heart was breaking. I knew what the direction was. It was like to be with you and go to you immediately. There was no question.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to distance myself from you before the accident because I did not see your ways of life being healthy for my life. I didn't know how to wrap my head around some of the things that you were doing. It was just, you're just such a different person for, and I think that the reason why you kind of went down that path is because you were just like coping in your own weird way. Mom got sick and kids are all grown up, and you the are the way the world is going and what the government's doing to us and stuff like that. You were kind of just afraid, so you tried to be this big bad tough guy to the extremes. And I've always been on more of the softer side of you, and that's the guy that I grew up with. That's the dad I had. Where the world has thought of you as this intimidating, big, tough guy, but you're my dad, and I think I have that soft spot in your heart. So I've always gotten that big teddy bear kind of relationship with you. And all of a sudden that was very absent for some time, and I didn't know who I was dealing with. And that freaked me out. So I wasn't talking to you for months leading up to the accident, and I was praying that God would do His will in your life. And I think when the accident happened, I felt a lot of guilt for not um, answering your calls, and I was obsessively looking at the last messages that you had sent me because you were trying to reach out, but I wasn't answering you, and I felt really guilty about that. And so I started texting you while you were sedated in the ICU constantly. When I wasn't at the hospital, I was just sitting there. I just want to talk to my dad. That became the only thing I wanted to do. And so my prayers changed to, um, you know, Lord, please, keep my dad here with us. And it turned into, God, I just pray that I can talk to my dad again. I just wanted you to wake up and talk to you. That was the only thing I wanted to do. So when you started communicating, you were writing a little bit and stuff, and then you started opening your eyes and you were squeezing my hand. And yeah, I think I spent a lot of time just sitting quietly by your bedside, and we would just like squeeze each other's hands, and we knew what each other were saying. It was pretty cool. We've always been very connected. So that was a really tough part of the whole situation. But that's definitely how my prayers changed. And now it's wild how God planned it all out, because my prayers changed too. I pray that I can talk to my dad, and it wasn't just saying whatever to each other. Now we tell each other everything.
Yeah, like for me too, it's just like everything is stripped so down that it's just
It's wonderful.
And we're just like I feel like we're healed. Yeah, I was praying for healing. Like our family just needs to be healed so much, and through this all, and just being there for you, and knowing that we would never leave you, and that there is a plan for this, and that goodness does trump evil. Yeah. So yeah.
And now has your faith changed? Not just your prayers?
Yeah. Yeah, like it's pretty strong now. I can say it's like, no, it's strong.
Yeah. Well, and I had just been, because I went through my own trials and tribulations about a year and a half prior to this whole situation, your accident, and I rejected God for years. But I always found myself, when I was in a really bad situation, I would always find myself praying to Him to protect me. So I think He was always in me, because I accepted Jesus when I was a kid, and then I went through a lot of wild party years and kind of pushed that away and wanted to explore different ideas and thoughts, because that was just something I was raised in. I was told to believe in that. And so I had to figure that out on my own. And so when I came to him, I think my relationship with him was being built on knowing that I can believe in him and that he is a real presence and the Holy Spirit is a real thing that lives in me. So before the accident, my relationship was just believing. After the accident, it turned into actually having faith,
Mm.
that trust, and how you can surrender all of your stuff to him and he's going to work it out, and
Yeah.
that you can truly lean
Trust.
on him.
Yeah.
Mm.
That there is it's not just, he is an action God. Like, if that makes sense.
Mm.
Like, when you say words, actions speak louder than words, I feel like we don't recognize the actions that are taking place around you because we're just dealing with our human sinful life. But if you really take a look at it, it's like, wow, look at, I can't believe that happened, or this happened, or this happened, and how happy we are, even though our situation and, our disabilities and all the things. And it's like, how are you guys doing? We're awesome. What?
Yeah.
I was like, no, we're awesome. Yeah.
Mm. So has faith been important in being a caregiver?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
Does it affect that at all?
Yeah, it does.
Pretty thankless job.
Well, yeah, you thank me for all the little things. Like, there's
100
just
times a day.
yeah, and it's like, I say, no problem, you're welcome. And it's not like, it's the same thing, being thankful to the Lord for all the little things.
Mm.
And being appreciative of every little thing. It's like, I'm happy you're able to walk up the stairs and go to bed. So why wouldn't I help you get up there, or set things up for you, or whatever the situation is? Or I know you're not very good at walking with things without, your cane, or, with in your hand. You were practicing that this morning with your coffee.
Yeah.
But maybe those things are to come. Like, everything's a progression. So maybe I have to empty your urinals for a year, and then maybe in 2 years you start doing it. Who knows? Like, I don't know what your next little thing, because you're always doing things for yourself. And you're telling me no now too. Like, no, I got this. Stop doing these things for me. I can do it. I'm like, okay, I've been told.
Yeah. So how do you handle when I'm moody? How do you keep yourself up? Like, I know that there's times when just with a couple words I can just shatter your hearts. How do you deal with that? I think I've been pretty good overall.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think, there has been a couple moments when, like, oh no, like, because you used to be very
Moody.
well.
We could call it moody.
You can call it moody. You can be very difficult at times, and we definitely have butted heads. We're very similar in that way too. We're very headstrong. We wear emotions on our sleeve. I'm just but I am very emotional as well. So I think, you could say the slightest thing to me and it's just gonna break my heart, because I'm very passionate, especially with the people that I love. So I think what's really changed is that you are you're very receptacle to my feelings now. And instead of, we would get into a tiff about something, and then just kind of block each other out for days, weeks, months, try to just ignore it and get over it. I think that you're very, um, what's the word I'm thinking of?
Respectful,
Yeah, it's like
cognizant.
I think I personally think
remorse.
you're more self-aware.
Yeah.
And that you're like, oh, that probably came out the wrong way. I'm like, yeah, it super did. And then I don't even have to say anything. You're like, well, maybe I should say sorry. I'm like, well, that might be a good idea. But, like,
Yeah, and I think it's very important that when I recognize that you have made these changes in how you um, show your remorse towards me, especially, is you have to celebrate those things, and you have to have a forgiving heart. And just because we get into arguments doesn't mean that the path that we're on is completely destroyed. And so, yeah, I've been shocked. I've gotten calls from you within minutes, and you're like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, thank you for acknowledging my feelings on it. And I think you're genuine and honest about how sympathetic you are to my feelings, and vice versa. I'm trying, and you have every right to have your emotions. We definitely suppress way too many feelings, and then it comes out in weird ways we can never expect. And so sometimes you just have these moments when you feel crappy, and you're allowed to. Your whole life has changed so drastically.
yeah,
I
like
can't
how,
empathize for your situation, but I can definitely sympathize for your feelings about it. And my biggest fear when you started coming out of your critical care in the hospital was, crap, my dad's mental health is going to be the biggest worry. That was my biggest fear, was your mental health. This is your biggest nightmare. Yeah, no,
Oh, yeah.
you're not the type of guy that just is okay with being disabled.
we were
But,
like,
and every day, still almost every day, you were like, how's it going? Good. Still disabled. Still a cripple, and you beat yourself up about it because this is just not what you ever wanted, and it is your reality now. And so I don't know what it's like to be in your situation at all. You don't know what it's like to be in my situation. And so we just try and meet each other on that level. Like, we don't know what each other are going through, but we can be there to support them no matter what. Just being there and allowing each other to be a safe place to express our feelings and our thoughts, and not having judgment or harshness. You need a soft place to land, and especially with your emotions.
yeah. So
And I just hope that I do a good job of doing that. You've been doing a great job of doing that with me. I go through my own personal crap all the time, but I know that I can talk to you about it, and you're doing really good at being a soft landing for me. Yeah.
I think giving each other grace in that moment is what I first think of. I'm like, oh, he probably didn't really mean that, or he's having a really difficult moment. He deserves grace, and it's not about me. It's mostly about you. So then my brain goes, what can I do to help you? So I would ask you, is there anything I could do? And you're like, no. And I'm like, okay. So then I just give you your space. And you'll work it out. I don't have to think that everything's about me, because that's so egotistical. I used to think I was always doing something wrong or not doing enough or whatever, and I don't have to feel that way at all anymore. So thank you. You're doing such a good job
You're very welcome.
with our relationship. Is just like a 180, I feel.
I tell a story on one of my episodes about one of the therapists told me about this grumpy old bugger. And his after his stroke, his wife was like, he's so nice now. So that's kind of what's happened to me then.
Yeah.
Yeah, you denied it.
Yeah, I did.
And I was like, no, I think you're a lot nicer. Because you said strokes can change people's personalities. I don't think it changed mine very much. I'm like, I think it did.
Okay.
Like, you are way nicer.
Well, and our first was like, we don't know when you come out and of your and when you start the reality, because we would just go, this is his worst nightmare. We're doing all these things to keep you alive, and right now, like, all you probably are thinking about is how I cannot, like, why
Totally.
why didn't I just die in that moment? And I know you would think that,
Yeah.
because you've always said, don't let me be.
Yeah.
And then the first thing we do is keep you alive.
Shadow now.
A little bit. Some days.
You've always been a cat hater. Now you're even nice to my kitty.
So yeah.
Most of the time.
So your caregiving roles have kind of changed a little bit as well as we've gone through this journey. Initially, it was you were basically hospital support staff.
Pretty much.
Right? And then I started coming home on weekends.
Yeah, when you went to Panoka, you were there full time for the first month. So we were going down and visiting you lots, spending a lot of time at the facility, eating a lot of wild chicken.
Wow, chicken.
Yum.
Wow.
And Wendy's.
Wow.
Delicious.
Yeah.
And then you started coming home for the weekends, and Mom had a surgery. She was on bed rest for about 3 months. So I became the chauffeur, drove a lot because it's an hour and a half away.
And you moved in.
Moved home.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So yeah, you took
that
care.
was hard.
Yeah, that was really hard for you. So you called for help. So as a caregiver, you're like, I can't do this by myself.
Well, all of a sudden, it was the same day Dad gets transferred to Panoka. You go in for major surgery. I'm at the house here. My siblings are at their houses. My brother lives in a different province. My sister lives 3 hours away. We don't have other family here. And in those moments, I don't think about, friend support being the same for some reason. I know that we do have a lot of really amazing friends that we consider family, but in that moment, I definitely felt alone. And if anything were to happen to Mom in her surgery, because they had a hard time bringing her out of sedation on her last surgery, and that scared me. So having her being put under and waiting for the call that she's in recovery was one of the worst moments in my life. And I knew that I was going to be freaked out days leading up to the surgery. And so I called my grandma in BC, and your mom, and asked her to come out because I needed somebody here. and I needed help. Because all of a sudden I realized that I'm going to be a full-time caregiver to both of my parents. And I didn't know how. I've never been in that position. I didn't know what to do, and my grandma Judy has been a caregiver most of her life. She's done that as a profession for many, many years. So I knew she would know what to do. And that was hard because I felt like I had everything under control for a long time. And I had my processes, I had my ways of doing things, and then having somebody come in and um, kind of guide me on other ways to do things was struggling, but it was something I needed. And looking back on it, I'm very grateful for that. But it was hard to release some of that control because I definitely felt like I was the one being dominantly in control of what was kind of happening with the two of you. Once you started your recovery stage, being in Panoga, driving you, and then you started coming home for the weekends. And so they warned us that because you just wanted to come home so badly, and they kept warning you, you're going to face challenges at home that you're never going to realize. And where you are, it's set up for people that experience strokes. And so, the facility is set up for the safety of stroke patients and the convenience as well. You have people checking up on you every half an hour, asking you if you want a snack or, helping you shower, go to the bathroom. There's no carpets, there's no stairs for you to climb. Everything is set up for people that are disabled. And so coming home, they warned us there's going to be a lot of challenges. So once he started coming home for the weekends, and mom was here on bed rest, everything we started getting into prep mode for you to be home full time. It was a good time for us to learn what you're going to need for the future. So that's when we started looking around and realizing just the things that you were struggling with the most. How can we make this a little bit easier? So the first thing we did was decided that you didn't want to do modifications on the house. Like, nope, I'm gonna walk again. I'm gonna get better. You were determined, I'm gonna get better. I'm not gonna make the house suitable for my disability. I'm not going to have a disability. You were determined. And so we finally got to the place where you accepted putting railings up the stairs. And that's when I learned how to install railings into a house. And that was a struggle.
You became our construction worker.
Yeah. And so, I always felt like I was very capable of doing a lot of hands-on stuff, but I learned a lot, and there was no option I was like, well, we know people that can do this. And you said, I don't want to ask other people for help. You were kind of stubborn. So that meant that it was up to me to do it. And in the moment, I was very frustrated learning how to do these things because I had to figure out a lot of things on my own because there's only so much you two could help me with. And so, that's when I started getting a little bit frustrated with my reality. And I didn't know how to cope with that. That kind of freaked me out. And
So how have you coped with it? And has that changed?
learning how to ask the right questions. And seriously, I can't stress this enough, is to ask for help. Because if something is above my limitations, I can't just fake my way through it. I have to ask for help. And I've always felt, I don't know. I don't know why it's so hard for me to accept help.
Well, maybe it's
Don't look at
because
me.
you learned from somebody or me. Oh, we have raised you guys that we do it ourselves.
Take care of our own shit.
We take care of everything ourselves. That's why every modification in the house, me and your dad are doing it, or we get you kids to help us, is because
we've done a lot of projects.
Yeah,
At one point, I was complaining to my sister about it. My sister said, "Emily, like, how big was our deck in the Spruce Grove house?"
It was 1,000 square feet.
She's like, "Emily, we built a 1,000 square foot deck with a roof and platforms. Like, you can install a railing. You can do this."
Yeah,
like,
we had full
confidence. Point there.
We have full confidence in you. That's why we're like, you can do this. That we just don't even think you can't.
Yeah.
So that might be something we can learn, that we don't have to put so much pressure on you, but like, is this doable? Can you do it? Not just like, hey, you're gonna do this. I don't know.
Yeah, but Dad made a good point not too long ago, building the retaining wall. Once it's been all assembled and everything, and once I actually learned, and it's been a good opportunity for Dad to kind of take the passenger seat, so I actually have an opportunity to learn how to use a lot of different power tools and
good to know,
like that. And having those times together has been awesome. And yeah, at the beginning of the project, I'm like feeling so overwhelmed and frustrated. This isn't what I want. I remember at one point during the railing, I said, this was not my life plan. I was not going to be a construction worker. I was not installing railings into homes is not my life goal.
Well, that was fun. Hope you enjoyed my family sharing their side of my stroke and their involvement. That's the first part of this episode. So we will record the second part this week. If you like, please subscribe. Have a great day, and God bless.